Ladies and gentlemen, very big welcome to week 8. Thank you very much for coming. Today we are going to be talking about justifying and managing information system and technology investments. It's actually chapter 9 that we're covering today. It's an important topic and getting towards the end now, so we're going to have to go and start preparing for the final exam very soon. But another topic we would like to talk about, I just want to remind you of all of this information if you would like to go and talk to your teaching team. The details is available here. If you're in my class, like the Hafiz's class, Yankon's class, please try to kind of connect with us during the consultation time. And just another reminder about all the copyright information. Please make sure you don't copy any information that is not appropriate, and acknowledge it as your own, or just copy and paste from the internet, use it for your assignment. We've had a lot of that as a problem in the first assignment, so it's just something to really bear in mind and ensure we're not going to actually be repeating that. So please make sure you take that into perspective. Last week we spoke about two chapters that we covered. We covered, I believe, chapter 7, chapter 8. We spoke about the importance of business strategy and information system and IT. So it's important to kind of choose the technology and choose the systems that could give you the information that you need, but that needs to be really aligned by the strategy that we have as an organization. We spoke about the tools for information system and IT strategy formulation and their relationship. We spoke about a number of tools as we were moving along throughout the various weeks. We spoke, for example, about value chain analysis. We spoke about, some tools you're going to use. We spoke about, benefit analysis. We spoke about all of these various topics. There were individualized topics that we went and spoke about. But then we also spoke about a framework for using the actual tools and techniques effectively. In other words, how could we kind of merge all of these tools together to be able to make an assessment about the sort of IT and information system we really are going to be needing, and in relation to the implementations that we're going to go and choose to go and make within the organization. And so it's really that main framework that we have, it was really split into two sections, section 4 and section 5, where we covered all of these components that were listed in that framework. We covered the top part of this, tools and techniques, and then we covered in the second, in section 5, the second section of the tools and techniques, which is the bottom part. So we went to establish the relative priorities for information system and IT investments. And then we spoke about, large organizations that have multiple business, strategic business units. We spoke about how do we bring the strategy together. We spoke about, well, do we just decide on integration? Do we not decide on integration? How we need to go and think about the value that has been delivered from whatever we go and choose to go and implement at any particular point of time. Then we went to chapter 8, and in that chapter we started speaking about the conclusion from all of these various portfolio models. We spoke, for example, about how we're going to go and bring the various models that we went, how do you actually bring it based on the two main axes, the X and Y axis. And we said, one area we think about, success is something we can actually control as an organization. And on the other end, we say that our success is based on a lot of changes that happen out there in the environment. So it's really about using, those two sections of the portfolio model that we've presented to be able to go and decide how we're going to go and deliver investment of information system and IT within the organization. We spoke about the importance of ensuring that there's an alignment between the demand in the portfolio as well as the supply. So demand, when I talk about demand, it's just basically about, what sort of, information I need to be able to be available for me to be able to run the business appropriately. And the supply is more about what sort of technology do we need to go and get supplied within the business for us to be able to get the information that we would like at any point of time. We spoke about various generic applications of management strategies within the organization. We spoke about the portfolio management principles applied to the application portfolio. So if we're going to go and choose applications within the organization, we need to make sure those applications are added as part of the portfolio of the various type of projects we would like to go and work on: operational project, support project, as well as, for example, strategic project and high risk project or high development projects. We spoke also about we need to kind of align how we're going to go and develop the applications to the actual various portfolio segments. So if it's a strategic project or an operational project or a support project, they won't really be supported and delivered in the same manner. They're going to be basically done in a different manner. We spoke about the special core case of an enterprise system, which is ERP system is really connect the whole part of the organization together. So it's about really linking and thinking about all of these how do we connect the enterprise system? How do we actually provide a system that connects various parties of the organization together? And from there, we also spoke about, how you might create the enterprise system. It might not be perfect. You're going to find problem with it, and you're going to start kind of getting more improvement and more changes to it in alignment to the changes into the vision of what we would like to go and actually achieve within the organization. And finally, we spoke about the managing of the, application portfolios in multi-unit organization. And what we spoke about that, we said, well, we cannot simply go and say, well, we're going to go and, we're going to go and just, not learn from each other. So for example, if we're going to go and find that there's that great strategic system that we went and implemented into one of our business units, well, wouldn't it actually make sense for me to go and pick up that learning that I picked up from that one place where I've worked and say, well, is there any way for me to kind of go and pick up all of that learning and try to implement all of that learning into my organization, into specifically another business unit that I have within the organization? So it's about really thinking about that. It's about thinking, well, if there's a great knowledge and great finding that I found in my business, and I know that that finding is going to be able to go and be very beneficial for people within the other portfolios and business units, because that it means that they won't have to go and make any investments into something like that, that they're not going to go and have to waste any of their resources. Doesn't it actually go and make sense for us to be able to go and share that knowledge so that other areas and other business units won't have to go and spend that same expenditure within the organization? So it's really important to go and think about those various concepts that we spoke about. Now today we're going to start building on all of this learning from last time. It's about really thinking about the investment in priority setting policies. It's about really thinking how we're going to go and prioritize what are we going to be working on within the organization. We need to justify and evaluate the information system and IT investments. Which one is going to really generate value? How do we choose? Like, do we just randomly go and say, all right, we're going to go and work on this technology? Or should we go and really ask questions, say, well, what have we done? What is the learning we need to go and think about to be able to go and get things delivered appropriately? We spoke about, we need to speak about justifying business applications. We're going to talk about justifying infrastructure investments. So, how do we go and choose the right infrastructure we're going to invest in to basically align with what we need as a business? Technology, software, database, and so on. We're going to need to go and assess and manage risks within our investments. Not every investment is going to come without any risk. You're going to go and get a new project. What's the risk associated with that implementation of that project? It's just something that is really important for us to be able to go and think about. Managing the portfolio of all the investment you would like to go and make within the organization, setting priorities among the information system and IT investments. Not every investment is going to require the same priority because, it depends on the value that we are able to go and achieve throughout our investments. And we talk about organizational, portfolio, specific information and IT portfolio and investment management maturities. Sometimes you go and actually try to make an investment. You're not doing the delivery in a very mature manner. It's not efficient. It's not aligned with the business. You start basically learning how do we actually increase my maturity when I'm trying to go and manage all of these investment portfolios that I have within the organization. Now, starting with the first thing, when I'm talking about investment, money investments, it's like a new business venture. It's like I'm trying something new. I need to make sure it's going to go and work, or I'm going to basically not going to go and generate the benefits. So where is the financial aspect of the outcome? It's sometimes hard. We can actually guess whether we're going to go and get the financial benefit we would like to go and actually get. But what we need to think about is not simply financial is what we need to go and think about. We could think about many other benefits that we could actually go and deliver within our investment. So we can actually think and set our priorities in a very different manner than simply make it something about the actual financial aspect of the money. If we don't have any consistent justification of why we're choosing something, and what I mean by justification, it doesn't simply have to mean financial justification. If we don't have a system that we use to be able to justify what are we going to be working on within the organization, we won't necessarily be able to really go and achieve the benefit we would like to go and actually achieve. So we need to think about, is the investment we're trying to go and make within the organization, is it actually justified, or is it not actually justified at any particular point of time? That justification needs to be consistent across every specific project within the portfolio. So if I go and think about, let's say, strategic projects, I need to be able to evaluate them equally, because if I don't have the proper policy and proper approach to go and making sure I evaluate what I'm working on at any point of time, what that's going to mean is I might be working on something that is actually delivering less contribution than something else that could deliver for me much more contribution. So I'm really wasting some of the resources that I have available by not using them in the most appropriate manner. So we need to think about that. The limited factor is normally either we don't have funds available, we don't have people available, we don't have the quantity or the quality of the skills and knowledge that I need. And because of that, we might not actually be working and making our priorities and choosing our investment into the most appropriate manner. So priority settings is really very important. It's about ensuring we are prioritizing the projects we are going to be working on at any point of time. And that priority is very, very important because it helps us to actually maximize the return from the use of the limited resources we have within the organization. And we have to know that the resources we have is always going to be limited. No organization have unlimited resources. We always have limited resources. How do we actually go and identify all of these various limited resources to be able to go and really get the right outcomes to be delivered for our organization? All right, guys, so we're going to need to go and justify and evaluate information system and IT investments. So you need to have a method. How do we actually go and do it? Well, a lot of times what will happen is a lot of organizations rely on the financial way of analyzing various things they go and have. They say, all right, what method I'm going to have? For example, you might say, I'm going to go and implement the payback method. What is the payback method? Well, the payback method tells me, okay, if I go and invest $1 million, and if I'm going to go and generate $1 million in the first year, then I know that my payback for that project is actually only 1 year. So I make 1 million investment, and then I get 1 million at the end of the year. So that's basically when I'm going to get my money back. For example, this method is a good method, but it's a simple method. It doesn't calculate, well, yeah, I get $1 million back, but how much benefit, how much profit do I get? Do I actually get any profit after that 1 million? You have no information at all whatsoever. So it's really about thinking about all of that information. So there's a payback method. There's, for example, net present value method. In other words, it looks at all the money that gets generated across various times. It could be various years. And I see, well, in the first year I got that money, the money have one value. But when I think about the money I earn in the next year, in the third year, in the fourth year, and fifth year, the money value does change. Like $1 million today is not equal $1 million in 3 years' time. In 3 years' time, that $1 million might be worth 800,000 only, because things have become more expensive. So there's, you know, various approaches to financial appraisals that as an organization we choose to go and use. We need to go and classify our investments to decide, you know, which one is going to be the best. For example, you might justify your investments in terms of, you know, what do they do? For example, this technology that I'm investing in is a substitutive technology. For example, it means that it's going to be taking away that technology that I currently have, and it's going to go and actually get a new technology that has basically been replaced. So it's going to go and actually get me a brand new technology, not the old technology that I have. So it's going to take it all and throw one, get one in. Or you might say, I'm going to get an investment that is complementary. In other words, it's going to go and support and complement the technologies that I already have within my organization. And that's what I really go and call a complementary technology that I might go and do. There are other, you know, way of justification or classification of all of these investments. But in bottom line, we need to justify all of those investments that we have. We're going to need to evaluate them and justify, should we go and make that investment? Is it going to actually add the value that we would like that investment to really go and deliver for us within the organization? Now, there are 10 factors that differentiate the more successful from the less successful organization when it comes to all of these, you know, IT investments within the organization. What are they? Well, if we go and transfer the lessons we learn, you know, you might be trying to make some investment, it does not work, and some companies go and make a lot of, you know, transfer of all of these lessons learned. The people who actually have more successful projects, many of them go and transfer their lessons learned. Quantification of benefits. If you want to be able to go and have a successful evaluation of information system, well, are we quantifying the benefits we are achieving? Are we looking at all the benefits we are actually achieving? Are we having an organizational change evaluation and review to see whether the change is good or bad? Are we actually overstating benefits to obtain funds? You can see for the less successful companies, they overstate their benefits. This, you know, to get the funding. In more successful projects, they don't overstate it. They basically evaluated the properties. They say, well, this will get me that much success. They do a proper, appropriate evaluation to be able to go and decide on the changes. Benefits delivery planning. In other words, they think, how am I going to go and deliver those benefits? For example, in the first 3 months, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this. You basically have a clear potential planning of the benefits. Organizational change planning. You see, you're going to go and get a new information system, new technology. You're going to have to go and actually ensure the organization is ready for that change. You can't go and tell them, okay, today I want you to go and start using this new technology. They won't be ready for it if you haven't trained them. So the change for it to happen within the organization, you need to be able to train all of those people on understanding that change and learning how they are going to really be actioning according to that specific change. Benefits, delivery, evaluation, and review. Did we deliver the benefits we said we are going to deliver? Or did we not? If we haven't, then that's an issue. We need to go and know whether we've actually achieved the outcomes or not. Use reference sites to identify and quantify benefits. So reference sites. So it might be, for example, reference to what we said we are going to be achieving and compare that plan to what we've actually went and actually achieved. Use external benchmarking to be able to go and identify and quantify all of these benefits. Comparing, okay? You might want to go and compare your performance, for example, and your benefits to the benefits of another organization. Did they achieve more benefit than you? Did you achieve less benefit? If you have achieved less, why have you achieved less? You kind of goes and make all of these various analysis. So these are many really factors to actually go and consider. They differentiate the companies that goes and actually make more successful investments in information and IT, and those who actually make less successful investments. When I talk about justification, a lot of times it is about money, money, money. Now, the extent to which the benefits could be justified financially is much more for support applications than it is for high potential applications. High support applications is support application is where I was able to get an achievement. I was able to kind of get a net cost reduction through becoming more efficient, through improving the process, through improving the tasks, through improving the actual, eliminating all of these processes or reducing those processes. So when you get those outcomes, you get a lot of financial benefits being delivered. In key operations, again, we also have benefits. We avoid known or potential disadvantages and risks. We get benefits from quantified performance improvement or rationalization and integration of processes. When you things become more integrated, again, it becomes much more efficient. So you'd be able to, again, get more benefits financially from that specific environment. Strategically, we get also benefit, but the benefit is a bit less than operational and support. Strategically, we can help enable the achievement of business objectives. Benefits due to innovation and changes to product, service, and business practices and all relationship. It's just more about achieving the long-term needs for the business. When it comes to the high potential, well, you don't have a lot of justification of benefits. Why? Because you usually try to make investment into a lot of things to see whether they work in practice. Now, a lot of these high potential things you are attempting to go and implement within the organization will prove to actually not be very beneficial. So you're basically investing a lot of the money in the short term, but that money is actually proving not to deliver a lot of value for those high potential projects. Only when you start finding something that is of high potential, then you actually make it more strategic. Then you start working on it to be able to get the value or support or operation. But in simple words, when you are working on something that you're trying to explore a new idea, a new innovation, and trying to see whether you can go and actually implement it within the organization, the reality is a lot of times you won't actually go and get a lot of those benefits because you haven't really been able to identify a potential benefit that you are able to go and achieve from this initial investments. So you're basically risking money to be able to try to identify potential innovations that would be valuable for your business. And because of that, you're not going to be getting, a lot of the money you spend, you don't get a lot of return. So you spend a lot of money, but then only a small percentage of those things that you see will go and add value, will go and actually become part of your strategic work that you're going to go into. We need to justify the infrastructure investments. What technology, what hardware am I going to buy? What software am I going to buy? Which database am I going to go and buy? All of these is the actual infrastructure that is needed to go and support my business. And that infrastructure investment that I'm going to go and need to get within the organization doesn't have to happen by chance. Really, I need to go and ask myself, well, what is the value I'm going to get? What is being requested by my business? When I know what is being requested by my business, I'll be able to go and really link that understanding. I link it to the actual infrastructure that I need to be able to go and meet the business strategy. When I want to go and justify my infrastructure investments, when I'm going to go and build the case for it, I need to say, why do I need that infrastructure investment? What value does that infrastructure investment help me to go and actually achieve? Well, this infrastructure that you get will help you to go and actually reduce the business and IT operating costs. You don't need to spend as much money running and supporting the applications you have. You might get a new technology that automates a lot of your practices. that you have at any point of time within the organization. This IT infrastructure would potentially get you a gross that you're going to go and get. So enable or even create growth in the volumes of the business. It might facilitate for you to have new or planned applications implemented. It would potentially get you new working practices that are more efficient, and therefore they would actually go and reduce a lot of your costing. It would potentially create a new business capability that would enable you to go and potentially expand to a new market and get more value to be achieved within the organization. So whenever you decide you are going to be getting that investment to be happening within the organization, you need to ask yourself this very simple question: what value am I going to be achieving out of making all of these various investments? Is there any value that my infrastructure is going to be achieving? And based on that very specific infrastructure, that's where we're going to go and decide how we're going to go and act in terms of all of these new changes, in terms of what investment for infrastructure I need to go and get implemented. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go and get all of these new applications, new investment, new infrastructure. All of these will need to go and be implemented within my organization. But one thing I need to bear in mind, that whenever I try to implement a new investment, a new change within my organization, that change is filled with all of these various risks that I need to understand very, very clearly. I have technological risk, I have financial risk, I have business change risk, I have organizational risks. And these are not all the risks, these are just only a few risks I could think about within my organization. So these risks are things I need to go and bear in mind. And the reason why I need to bear in mind, because if you have risks that would actually inhibit your ability to get projects to be implemented or to get investments implemented, those risks, if they become reality, they could cause your project implementation to be unsuccessful. So it's very important not simply to have a risk, but also to identify risks and then to be able to go and assess all of these risks and to be able to take the mitigation actions that will prevent that risk from causing a big damage within the organization. So when I talk about all of these risks, for example, we talk about technical risks, such as the system functionality that I'm trying to introduce is very complex. The technology that I'm trying to get is very, very new to both the organization and the supplier. There are so many system interfaces and systems that I need to go and change. The more change, the more complexity. Certainty and stability of the business requirements is an issue. They keep on changing. Technical skills of the project team is lacking. Business knowledge of the project team is actually lacking. The degree to which formal methodologies and standards are being adopted, that's another risk. We're basically not having a proper manner of working. The extent of changes needed to the IT infrastructure, the degree to which a system can be prototyped or piloted. The more I cannot pilot it, the more I'm trying to go and implement something that I don't know whether it's going to deliver any value. I talk about financial risks. How much money am I investing? How long is the actual project? The longer the project, the more money, the more the risk. How much confidence we have in terms of the elements of project cost. Is my cost planning correct or is it incorrect? How much confidence I have in the evidence of the investment benefits. Appropriateness of the project cost control mechanism. If you don't have a very good manner of managing your costs within the organization, what impact is that going to have on my actual organization? Reliability of my suppliers' estimates. And can I actually enforce the contract conditions on them so that I'm not going to go and have to pay from my own pocket if something was to go wrong? How much change is happening in my actual external environment? And if there's let's say, a lot of IT changes, and I'm implementing that technology that's going to cost me $10 million, well, guess what? There's a big risk that that technology that I'm implementing will very, very soon no longer be a valid technology for me to go and actually implement. The business criticality of the areas affected by the actual system. If it's very business critical, and if that stops, we're going to have financial money to stop flowing within the organization. Dependence of the benefits on other projects. If we're waiting on other projects to get some outcomes for me to actually be able to achieve my outcome. What about business change and organizational risk? Sometimes we don't have good change management practices within the organization. Sometimes we don't have teamwork. Sometimes people are not ready to actually go and learn new things. Sometimes we don't have the commitment of the resources and knowledge. Sometimes senior management is not committed to go and support my project. Sometimes there's, the organization is not very stable, or the key employees keep on changing all the time. The extent of changes to business processes and practices, if they keep on changing, it means we're not going to know how to do things every time there's a new way of working. The number of departments, functions, and business staff involved and affected, the degree to which the organizational and role changes are needed to realize the benefits. So keep on restructuring all the time is a requirement. Other change initiatives which will affect the same areas of the business, and it basically creates some sort of competition, whether people want to kind of work on your change first or the other change first, which one is more valuable and so on. Existing change management capability and experience. You might want to get all of these change, but people are not ready. People within your business don't have the skills to implement any changes. This becomes your risk within the organization from getting things delivered. Existing user IT and information skills and knowledge of how the actual business works. If we don't even know how the business works, how are we going to be able to go and get investments and changes to be implemented within my organization? In very simple line, you won't be able to go and get the actual achievements that you would like to achieve. Now, a lot of times organizations have what is known as a portfolio project management. Portfolio project management. So in other words, instead of managing projects that are going to deliver changes within my business, instead of me delivering those changes individually, I actually manage them as a portfolio. So I look at all of my projects, strategic, operational, support projects, and so on. I look at the whole portfolio. I look at all the projects that I have. And from there, I basically try to go and manage all of these projects as part of one portfolio. Why do we do that? Well, we do that because we want to align any project objective to my strategy. So if there's any project in my portfolio that I'm working on, and that project is not delivering any of the value that I need as part of my business strategy, then I am actually investing my money in the wrong place. And because of that, I shouldn't really go and get that investment to go and be happening. Avoid overcommitted of limited resources. So we basically go and say, all right, I have 10 people, I have 10 projects. I can't go and assign 5 people on one project. Or I can't go and say to someone, I need to work on 3 projects. Because this is going to go and lead to the project actually failing. So the reason why you would have this portfolio, you look at all the projects, you look at all the resources you have, and you try to manage them as a portfolio, is you avoid overcommitting your resources that are limited to ensure you're going to still get the right outcomes. You set the priorities across different types of investments. Which investment is going to be more prioritized? Which investment should get people assigned to it now, and which one not? And we say that because some investments are going to actually generate more value for us than some other investment. We need to maximize the benefits of the whole portfolio, not only part of the portfolio. And that's why we manage it as a whole portfolio, not as individual. We need to balance the risks across the type of investments. We can't go and simply work on every single project which has been a high risk project. Because high risks means also two things: high risks of benefit and high risks of failure. So it basically could mean either way. And this is why we need to bear that in mind when we're trying to go and really implement the changes. So we need to think about all of these potential risks. What is the actual, how are we going to balance all of these projects to ensure we're going to have a balanced risks across all of these portfolio of projects we are actually working on. So our performance, ladies and gentlemen, starts becoming much more better when we basically start working with all of those reasons and taking all of those reasons into perspective. We need to set priorities across the different type of investments in the portfolio. So if I talk about strategic investments, there could be 10 investments. Let me go and prioritize all of these investments. Which one is going to be giving me more value than the other? And we're going to choose based on all of these strategic projects, the ones that are going to go and actually add the maximum value for me. At the same time, if I have operational projects, if I have support projects, again, for every one of those portfolios, I have to go and ask myself, which one is going to generate the maximum value for me? And based on that value, I will be able to go and try to make a choice in terms of all of these various levels of applications I would like to go and actually get implemented within the organization. Now, we also need to set priorities across the whole portfolio. When I'm working on a strategic, a operational, a support project, when I set all of these things, I need to set the priority on my portfolio. Which one of all of these projects across a portfolio are more important to be worked on in the first instance? Should I work on the strategic project first? Should I work on the operational project first? And it's really, there again, depends on us really looking in details about which projects are going to help me achieve the value that I would like to go and really achieve as an organization before I go and make any potential investments. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have so many projects we're going to need to go and work on in terms of our portfolio, and we're going to go and try to invest. Now, sometimes we are very bad at investing. Sometimes we're getting better. Sometimes we get very good at it. And it really depends on the approach we go and follow to be able to go and get the job done. So when I go and try to get an investment, sometimes it could be unsuccessful. Sometimes it could be moderately successful. Sometimes it could be successful. Sometimes it could be very highly successful. This is really dependent on how mature am I as an organization in terms of how I go and do things. What happens when I'm unsuccessful? Well, I have an inconsistent use of a proven methodology. I have unrealistic business cases. I have limited business involvement in my practices. I have very weak review of my processes. So the bottom line that I need to do there is I need to have a proper methodology to go and work. I need to conduct very good business cases, identifying of my costs, identifying of my benefits. I need to ensure that the business gets involved. I need to ensure I'm going to go and improve my review processes. My cost processes, my quality processes, my time processes. I need to make sure doing all of these reviews to ensure I'm going to go and increase and get more successful outputs to actually be able to go and be achieved. Who achieve moderate success? Well, those who have a sound IT methodology, great. So they have a methodology of choosing IT, great. But ineffective portfolio management and business cases are cost rather than benefit based. So when I'm choosing the portfolio of what I want to go and work on, I'm basing my portfolio choices based on cost only, not based on benefit. My IT methodologies dominate with insufficient business involvement. So I get all of my methodology, but the business doesn't even tell me what they need. Don't speak to them. Don't get the case. Don't get their review. I'm not even involving the business really well from that perspective. Now, what do we need to do? We need to go and have more portfolio management. We need to have business cases, identification of benefits. We need to have benefit and change reviews. We need to involve the business more into the choices. We need to ensure that whatever I'm implementing is of business value before I go and make all of that implementation. What happened when I get a successful implementation? Well, I have sound business cases based on achievable benefits, but ineffective delivery and change planning with insufficient business ownership and involvement. So we see here that the problem is with the delivery of the benefits is not being delivered well. So what do we need to do? We need to better plan the delivery of all of our benefits. We need to more involve organization within the change to be able to go and reach all of these benefits we would like to go and really achieve. What happens when we have highly successful investment in terms of IT and information system? We have a life cycle approach to benefit management. We ensure that the whole benefits are being achieved. We have demand-led with business ownership. So the demand is what does the business need in terms of information system. When I know what does the business need, the business takes ownership to ensure we're getting that benefit to go and be delivered. Ensuring there is ownership of the plans of delivery. Ensuring they are comprehensively reviewing the actual processes to ensure not simply we say we are going to be reaching the benefits, but also it's about guaranteeing we are going to be having all of those benefits to be achieved. So you can see that there's various stages of success when it comes to IT investments. It depends on how mature are my practices of delivering all of these investments. The less mature they are, the more unsuccessful they are. The more mature they are, the more success I am able to go and achieve by trying to implement and get all of these various investments. Ladies and gentlemen, do you have any questions about the lectorial that I just delivered for you today?
All good, sir.
No worries. Anyone else?
No, sir, all good.
Okay. Now, my other question is, do you have any group assessment questions? Does anybody not know who their group they are with? Does anybody did not listen to the video that I've sent them and they're not sure about what to do for their assignment? Did anybody not start the group assignment because it's a very demanding group assignment? Have anybody not started it? And because of that, they're finding some struggles. Any questions are all relating to the group assessment? Is there anything we need to discuss relating to your group assessment that you guys are not sure about? Okay, doesn't look like there's any question there, guys. Guys, for this week, please read chapter 9, continue working on the group assessment, which is due in week 9. Does anybody tell me which day of week 9, sorry, week 11. Does anybody tell me which day of week 11 is your assessment due? On which day is it due?
First February?
Yeah, so what day is that? It is due on a Monday.
Yeah, it's on Monday.
So yes, it is in week 11, but it's due on Monday, week 11. The reason why it's due on Monday and cannot be extended because you have presentations in week 11 and week 12. If we're going to go and make the due date later, we can't run the presentations and we can't really do any final exam review in week 12. So it's very important you are ready to be able to go and ensure everything is submitted on time. Because if you don't submit on time, you won't be able to get a mark for your presentation. You won't be able to get preparation for your final exam. And those are obviously two important things we need to go and get. So it is very important you get your work done and ensure your presentation is ready for submission by Monday, week 11. Your presentations start in week 11, and every presentation need to be submitted and be ready to be presented in week 11. So please bear that in mind, that we don't have much time left. We are week 8, 9, 10, 11. 3 more weeks left. You need to work really hard on it. I recommended that you split the first 4 questions to work on them and finish them by next week. And I recommended for the remaining 2 questions and for the actual presentations to work on them the remaining time. So please follow my lead. Don't leave it to the last minute. Split the work with your group. You have a group leaders. If you're in my team, in my groups, I've made sure there's a group leaders. If you are in a different tutorial, make sure you have a group leader and make sure everybody is actually following with the deadlines that are being set by the group leader. So please, ladies and gentlemen, bear that in mind. Other than that, all I would say, I really, really appreciate all your efforts. I want you to continue working hard. I want you to achieve success. And you know, we want you to ensure you're going to get the best outcomes. We care about you guys, so please make sure you work very hard to be able to get the best outcomes. Thank you very much for all of your efforts.